All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are live in full effect. And we actually have an amazing Canadian band straight out of Cambridge, Ontario, just about 4 hours away from the radio station. We have the amazing Frank Ducks right here live on 99.9 FM. And of course, Facebook and YouTube as well. How are you guys doing this? How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Good. Yeah.
I'll come out and say it. We'll hit it right off the bat. Most common mistake of our band. It's Frank Dukes, as in like.
Oh, my apologies, guys.
So good. Quack.
Apologize. It's more.
Quack.
We've been called Frank Ducks more than we've been called Frank Dukes. So answer to both.
Well, I'm glad that you actually told me beginning of the interview. That way, I don't be calling you Frank like Ducks the whole interview. You know what I mean? And then at the end, I'd be like.
The avatar for the StreamYard is like a mallard duck too, and it had me shook right from the start.
But also, guys, I know you guys are very busy individuals, and of course, I'm not going to take you away from your Friday evening because obviously this is the start of the weekend for a lot of individuals. So, of course, I'm only going to take a little bit of your time. But I got to take you guys back to the beginning of Frank Dukes, and I got to say, man, like, what is the origin story behind this band, and how did you guys actually meet and come together to form this band? Because you guys have some killer music.
I've pretty much known Joel since we were about, 16 years old from like the local music scene. So we had a job together working at a warehouse. And we just decided to try and get a jam hall together with Chris, our original drummer. And we just started out playing cover songs, just songs that we loved growing up, pretty much, Bad Religion, Blink, you name it, and that's it. That's how it started, really. That's the origin story.
Yeah, like Scott said, we both played in like adjacent bands when we were younger. We had always kind of kept in touch along the years. I went to do a whole bunch of like school stuff. Scott went to the School of Prog Rock, which I believe he has a master's degree, and I'm not quite sure. He can correct me. Yeah.
Pretty close.
And then we worked together, and then he just said, "I'm gonna maybe get a jam hall," and I was like, "Yeah, cool. Give me a call if you do." And then he did, and it all just kind of snowballed from there.
And also, as well, October 28th of 2017, you guys actually released the killer 6-track EP titled "Parts Unknown." I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this earlier released EP, and of course, is it actually still circulating the web to actually be streamed or purchased today in 2023?
People are streaming it and purchasing it for sure. It's a great album for us. I don't know. It was just like 4 friends just kind of trying to create that vibe that we listened to in our younger years, and I don't know, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, we released that on 2 formats. So it was released via cassette tape, and we also did a run of CDs with them as well. The cassette tapes, I'm pretty sure, are completely gone. We have none of those left. The CDs are, I would say they're sold out. However, like, one of us inevitably finds one that was like propping up a table around our house at one point in time, and they show up on, so it's kind of like maybe they're going to show up on our merch table, maybe they won't. They're very noticeable when they're around. Everybody loves to point out. So our first CD, we released it in Xbox 360 cases. So those big green cases, and people would pick it up and be like, "What the hell is this? You guys put out a game?" And it's like, "No, it's just a CD." Because one of Scott's old friends had bought like a case of like 300 of them, and like, yeah, whatever, we'll put them to use. So we ended up releasing it via that. And we find them every now and then, but I would say both are pretty sold out, I would say, at this point in time for the first release.
And it's crazy as well that actually just how cassettes are making a comeback, man. Like, I grew up on cassettes myself. I still have a cassette player. But just the fact that, like, cassettes and records are making a comeback, and something like CDs are often referred to as, like, old people things. And it's like, man, really? Like, CDs aren't even really that old. It's only been obsolete for, like, 4 or 5 years maybe, if that.
I would also argue CDs are coming back right now as well. I see them moving a fair bit. Like when we play in Quebec, lots of people still have CDs. I still actively purchase CDs. However, I'm usually trolling the shelves at Value Village trying to come up with like some gem that somebody's given up. But yeah, tapes definitely have made a comeback, and I think it just speaks to they're pretty easy to produce in the grand scheme of things, and they can keep costs low, whereas vinyl, there's only so low you can make a 12-inch without losing money on it. Right?
And I have to say as well, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that just goes to thrift stores and Value Village and trying to search down some amazing CDs, man. Like, I'm the same way, dude.
I found a No Warning Ill Blood CD just the other day at one, and I was like, all right, sweet. Some great Toronto hardcore.
I have about like over with 2,000 CDs, and I mean, like, even though I go around my house, I have like CDs on my coffee table, some in my closet, and my wife's like, you know, maybe sometimes you should like get rid of some. I'm like, never. I will listen to these at some point.
You're gonna find a Frank Duke CD eventually, just sitting somewhere around your house, and just send it our way so we can throw it on the merch table when you find it. They just show up with other CDs.
I gotta say, definitely, man. I definitely have about one or two of your guys' albums, man, in my pile. Like, I have a crap ton, man. So definitely, I gotta look. And if I do have them, I'll probably just rip it to my computer. That way, I can still have the audio files, and they'll definitely send you the disc copy.
Oh no, keep it.
But also as well, currently today, you guys are actually signed to an amazing record label out of your hometown, Cambridge, Ontario. The DIY record label by the name of Pink Lemonade Records. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about how you guys got discovered by them, and of course, what is it like just working alongside that particular
label? Inside scoop. I'm Pink Lemonade Records. I started the label with my best friend in like 2016, and he was just like really into pushing me into like getting back into music after a little bit of a hiatus, and just like he pretty much said he'd pay for our tape. So he asked me if I would help him run it, and I was all in, man. Like, it's just a passion, really. Like, it's a labor of love. But yeah, so I'm Pink Lemonade Records, really. So that's that support. So,
and obviously this interview is about, you know, Frank Dukes, but I have to ask, man, because obviously, you know, you guys have an amazing roster list. Like, who is currently signed alongside you guys on Pink Lemonade right now today?
So our active roster is John Creedon and the Flying Hellfish. We have Bad Egg. Frank Dukes obviously is on there. We've worked with bands like Grabert and Botfly in the past, Great Sabatini. But in terms of like active roster bands, like it's essentially those top three. And basically, yeah, we're just pounding the pavement, looking for hopefully some more local bands to help promote. You know, I think it's important to just kind of support our local community here, like, because really we're just supporting each other and trying to keep the party going, you know what I mean? But yeah, so those are the major ones that we're working with, and it's been fun.
And also, May 1st of 2020, you guys actually released the amazing 4-track EP titled Concessions. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this record. And of course, obviously this was released during the pandemic. And I have to ask, how did it actually affect the overall creative process of this particular album? Because I've heard stories of bands saying that it didn't really affect anything. You guys still had the chance to get together. But we all know Canadians had probably the worst time during the pandemic because we had the most restrictions, in my honest opinion.
Creatively, like, with that album, it was done far before the pandemic was even like on the radar. So we recorded that album with our original drummer, and we had recorded it, I would even say, like at least a year before we released it. We had just kind of been sitting on the tracks trying to figure out what we were going to do with them. Eventually the decision was made that we were going to put it out as a split record with our friends in Block Parent, who are another Cambridge punk rock band who we've known for a while. We've done lots of shows with. We jam at the same jam hall, and we just said, let's put this out as a split EP. So we were lucky enough that like all the artwork on it is this like one artist, which is Jacob, who's the singer and for Block Parent. He did the entire layout for it. And then, yeah, so The only impact the pandemic had on the record release was the actual release of the record. So we were putting it out in May of 2020 was when we had our like record release party scheduled. And yeah, that never happened. I think the most we did was an outdoor garage sale where if people wanted to come by and pick up the record when we had it in hand, we just, if they knew, like, we would just give them Scott's address and they came over, and it was still like a fun day. But yeah, our biggest impact was just we didn't ever get to play a CD release with Block Parent or a record release with Block Parent, which was a bummer.
And also as well, I actually read that record sales of this EP actually was donated to local community organizations. I was wondering if you could just tell us a bit more about that fundraiser, and of course, what actually made you guys decide to actually just donate the proceeds of this particular album release?
I don't know. I feel like when the pandemic happened, it really like makes you question like what's like real, right? So I knew like there was some Bandcamp Fridays coming out in order to help support bands, and like I don't know. Ultimately, this is a hobby. Like I'm not trying to make money doing this. None of us are. So like the decision to like donate proceeds of Bandcamp sales is a no-brainer for us. There's like so many people in this world that are like so less fortunate than us, and we have such a privilege to be able to just like play in a punk band and ignore the world's like actual problems, you know? So for us it was a no-brainer. Like we're never looking to try and make money. We just kind of want this thing to sustain itself. So
yeah, and I think just to like clarify, it was only proceeds from like our Bandcamp as well. So any like digital purchases, we those were our donations as well. I just don't want it to come off that we were donating more. When I just want to be honest with you.
Yep.
And obviously, though, before we move off the topic of this album, there's one last question I have is pertaining to this to these donations. I do know this album is still digitally available on Bandcamp. If individuals that are watching this right now that might just be discovering Frank Dukes, can they actually still go on Bandcamp and purchase this digital album, still kind of help out these local community organizations?
I think if they asked us like, yo, I want to buy this album, our donation's still going, we would have no problem donating like the proceeds from that to go out to it. I think that was more, our focus was kind of like on Bandcamp Fridays where it's like, hey, let's help out these bands who are struggling. We personally, as members of the bands, were not struggling as much as other people in our community were. So we just thought, you know, if you want to help us out, that's cool. We're just going to spread that around for that. I think we haven't really looked at we haven't donated much afterwards. That being said, I wouldn't say our Bandcamp sales are like flying out the door at any rate. Like I would say we get more off our streaming sites or just physical purchases of items.
And also, August 18th of 2023, so just a mere weeks ago, you guys actually released your most recent single titled One, Probably Closer to Two. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this most recently released single. And of course, like, where can we actually buy or stream it today?
All right, Scott's taking a drink. He's tagging me in. Purchasing, no purchase necessary at this point in time. We have gone, like, as you mentioned, since like 2020 was when we released Concessions. We've kind of been slowly processing through writing new songs because there were slowdowns in between. We felt kind of the pressure, like we did put out an album. It's important to play shows based around the album that we've released. So now we're ready to like start making those songs. Those two were more kind of just to be like, hey, we're still here. We're still doing things. We had been playing those two songs live specifically for a while as well. So currently they can be streamed on any streaming service that is out there. And then purchase-wise, they'll be available when we put out our full length, which should be out, I would assume, early next year if everything goes according to plan.
They're on Bandcamp too, if you want to toss some money at them, but...
Yeah. You don't need to. You can wait.
Yeah.
We'll give you a download code later.
Yeah.
And also as well, just a few weeks ago, you guys actually did a Eastern Ontario and Quebec tour, mini tour. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this particular tour. And of course, what was it like just playing live in Ottawa, Montreal, and of course, Sherbrooke as well?
It was the first time we've been out there since 2018, I believe. We went out there last time. So this time it was great. We played with awesome bands, Kingfisher and Positive Charge in Ottawa. And then in Montreal, we played with Born Reject and Summer Loss. That's right. They're a great band. That was a fun show. Turbo House was, man, you can't say enough about that place. Unreal venue, unreal community there. It was great. And then Sherbrooke, Quebec, Le Murdoch, that was a fun time too. It was a really unique venue. It had a bunch of like horror stuff around, and it had a rampage machine. I think we got to about level, I don't know, 56.
50 something you guys were at before you like.
And then I Googled it, and it said like there's like 716 levels to that game or something like that. You touch like every city in the world almost. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so long.
They got things to do. All right, time to get off the machine and warm up, gentlemen.
Yeah. But no, it was a great time, man. I love playing in Quebec. I feel that Quebec is the punk rock capital. Like, it just, those, like, people love punk rock in Quebec. It just, I don't know, just goes together like white on rice, I guess.
Yeah,
just
and
like
it was also fun. That was our, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like peanut butter and jelly. They go great together.
Yeah.
It was also our first time with, like, our current lineup of the band going out for kind of, like, a little bit further of a trip, a 2 or 3, as we may call it every now and then.
Yeah.
But also have to ask, what is next for you guys? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's broadcast? Like, anything else you guys still want to talk about, touch on, or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 99.9 FM this evening.
Our next show is October the 8th. It's a Sunday. It's Thanksgiving weekend. It's for this long weekend band crawl. It's with our good buddies Handheld, who Joel is also in, and the Neolux. There's also Hound Skull. There's a bunch of bands. It's gonna be a great time. So 2 venues, $15. You can jump between both venues and see like 9 bands throughout the evening.
Yeah, the venues are really special because they're literally right across the street from one another. Yep. So while one band is tearing down, a band across the street starts playing, and vice versa. So you can get, rather than sitting around during any changeover, you can get just like 5 hours of like pure music coming at you, and lots of different genres and things like that as well.
Yeah, and I think 2024, we're going to put out another record. Full length is what we're looking at, I think. So
there's a fluid definition to full length, so we can say that.
Yeah. Full length. As long as we hit that 30-minute mark, I think we can call it an LP, right?
Yeah, I would say as long as we make it longer than it can physically fit on a 7-inch, then we're good. Yeah. It has to be a full length at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, 2024, early 2024, we're hoping to put out a full-length record. Just keep at it, playing shows with awesome bands, and like, we've been so fortunate to do the things we've done in the 6.5 years that we've been a band. And like, if you would have told me like when I was 20 years old or 19 years old that this is what I'd be doing at the age of 41, like, tell you're crazy. But I don't know, man. I always say punk rock will save your life. So
yeah, and I think we would also be remiss. So like, our record came out both through Pink Lemonade and also Thousand Islands Records out of Quebec, who have been great supporters of us, like, since we put out a little 2-song demo before even that Concessions EP came out, or pardon me, and Parts Unknown EP came out. Like, they had reached out early, and that was kind of like a nice little feather in the cap that like people outside of our city and our friend group were listening to what we were doing. So that was cool. Yeah.
And obviously, guys, I know how to follow you on social media, but for the individuals that are just discovering Frank Dukes right now, how can they actually go about following you guys on social media? That way they can stay updated on all your up-and-coming shows, and of course, that new album that's set to be released in 2024.
Basically, you can check us out at Frank Dukes Punk. That's on all social media platforms. I think there's even a Snapchat out there. I don't know what gets posted on there anymore, but somebody's got the keys to that. I think it's our old drummer.
That was a previous member. I'm sure there's nothing posted on that Snapchat.
But yeah, we have a Twitter, which nothing gets posted on. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram are essentially our I'd say Instagram is the best way to get a hold of anything we are doing.
Yeah, and realistically, anything we post on Instagram gets automatically posted to Facebook anyways. So whatever floats your boat in the metaverse, I guess, is where you can look for us, as we are not the best social media band, but we give you all the most important.
You do all right, Joel. You do just fine.
Hey, the main thing, as long as you put the main information that people need to know, that's the main thing, right? There's a lot of bands on there doing weird TikToks now, and it's like, man, like I don't know. I was on TikTok for like a day, scrolled through a few videos, and I'm like, yeah, no, screw this, and just
I think I lasted 5 minutes on TikTok. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, like, Facebook was cool when it came out. Instagram's cool. Threads is pretty cool too. It's kind of like a Instagram version of Twitter. But when I saw TikTok, I'm like, man, no, dude, I have self-respect. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time here this evening. It was such an honor speaking with two amazing fellow Canadians of an amazing band. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, definitely have a killer show come next month. And I'm definitely super stoked to hear that you guys have new music coming next year as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having it on. It's nice. We're standing, beside some pretty great artists who you've had a chance to speak to. So it was very kind of you to invite us on, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak to you as well. So thank you.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome. Honestly, at the end of the day, I just love punk rock. So if you got killer music, I'm definitely going to feature you, man. So thank you so much for your time.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thanks, Marlo. Later, man.